All
Always.
right, perfect. The webinar is starting and we have participants joining. So welcome aboard, everybody. We're just going to wait a couple minutes to go ahead and let other attendees attend, as well as joining us on both the LinkedIn and YouTube. So the live stream's on YouTube. So welcome aboard to all the folks on YouTube. So woohoo! Meanwhile,
Hi.
while we're waiting, I'd love to have you chime in on where you're based out of. So, for example, myself, I'm based out of the Emerald City or Seattle, Washington. How about yourself, Jacek? Where are you based out of?
Warsaw, Poland. Nice weather outside, sunny. So I can't wait to have it done and run into the sun.
That rhymes, run into the sun. Love it. So, hey, for the rest of you that are chiming in, why don't you go ahead and chime in the chat on where you're based out of. Love to always know where you're all coming from. Meanwhile, it looks like I'm connected to YouTube now, so I think that's working now, so that's good. Oh, that's cool. One of our first chime-ins, somebody from Nigeria. That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, Nigeria.
Awesome, awesome. And there's a quick reminder, by the way, if you're wondering what session this is. Hey, we got Matt from Connecticut. Woohoo! Let's see. We are live in YouTube, live in LinkedIn. All right, perfect. Jacek, in that case, why don't you take it away? And because we are live in all the places we need to be live for today's Delta Lake 1.2 module part 2 tutorial.
Thank you, Danny. So, I'm on stage and presenting Delta Lake. Please you with all news and latest stuff that's available in the Delta Lake 1.2. Just today, I finished exploring one of the latest commands that was added in Delta Lake 1.2, which is restore. This is very fresh in my mind, so I might cover it soon, perhaps not today, because I need to let this new knowledge sink into my head, settle down, and so I can get prepared better. Anyway, okay, so latest and greatest of Delta Lake 1.2 in specifically. And again, this is open source storage layer with ACID transactions for Apache Spark and other data processing engines. My name is Jacek Laskowski. And this is the last day of May, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It is. By the way, are you changing slides? Because the slides aren't changing, by the way. I don't know if you are.
Yeah, no.
Okay, there we go. Perfect. Just want to make sure.
The very first time. Thank you.
All right, there we go. Perfect.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, so I'm Jacek Laskowski, IT freelancer, working closely with Danny to offer you the best of Delta Lake 1.2. And today is second module of our 3-module series about Delta Lake, and I'm streaming live from Warsaw, Poland. If I'm not mistaken, Danny is from Seattle or sitting in Seattle today. Okay, and I'm best known by this internals of online books that's available on this books.pl. And this is the website that you should be visiting often. And just today, as I mentioned, I updated internals about the latest addition to Delta Lake as part of this 1.2 release, which is restore. And there is another command that we may cover next time, which is optimize. Just keep in mind that new releases of Delta Lake may bring new commands. So whatever we cover today may be outdated. The other release. Okay, so friendly reminder, we've got this URL, go delta.io delta users, that you can click to be redirected to Slack channel, where you can leave all your questions, doubts, concerns about this presentation and how you feel about Delta Lake, what you would like to see in the upcoming third part of this 3-part series, as well as what cool feature you'd like to see in Delta Lake in the upcoming release. Okay, so Delta Lake, we covered it already. And that this is open source storage layer. There is something about ACID transactions, there is time travel. Today's topic is scalable metadata handling with schema enforcement and schema evolution. And I briefly covered that Delta Lake tries to tries to unify streaming and batch data processing atop Apache Spark. Again, Delta Lake is just yet another file format based on already supported Parquet file format in Apache Spark /Spark SQL. And so, yeah, if you are curious, what Delta Lake is internally, just think about Parquet with some extra features, and you should be good to go. Okay, so demo one. Okay, so this is the moment where I'm gonna switch to a notebook that I prepare for this presentation, for today's presentation, where I'm gonna show you a few commands that should give you enough to get going with Delta Lake. So we skip this part of installing Delta Lake because I'm gonna use Delta Lake as part of Databricks, so it's already pre-installed. What else could you expect from people who created Apache Spark and Delta Lake, and then eventually created or established this company called Databricks? So they offer you the unified experience where you can just immerse yourself into Delta Lake, as well as other features. Okay, so let me switch to the notebook. And okay, so module 2, okay, and this is module 2, where we are going to talk about how to create a Delta table. And if I confuse you with saying data table, I really mean saying Delta table. It's like me, saying Delta while saying data, or vice versa. Okay, so creating Delta table. So what it takes to create Delta table? First of all, you can just start from very beginning, having a data set that's just Parquet data set. The difference, which you may notice while we are doing all the operations atop our newly created Delta table, is that we are going to do some modifications, some updates, some deletes, some merges. So things that are gonna change the data that's part of a table, okay? And it's not possible without these features that Delta Lake provides. So if you started using, update or delete or merge, merge atop Parquet table or Parquet tables, well, you'd run into issues if not exceptions telling you that it's not supported for file formats by default by whatever Spark SQL version you are using. That's where you may start thinking or considering Delta Lake or Delta table. So first thing to start working with Delta Lake is to convert your existing Parquet tables or Parquet table into Delta own format, which, as I mentioned, is basically Parquet with some extra metadata JSON encoded. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, our server is up and running, our cluster is up and running, demo, with the latest and greatest of DBR, Databricks Runtime 11. It's in beta, so it's a beta release. We may run into issues. If we do, well, I'm gonna say that this is part of this beta release that they'll eventually fix. So not to blame Delta Lake right away. Okay, so convert Delta. So let me start afresh. So I'm gonna drop my table if it exists, and what I'm gonna use is just the name of the table is Delta demo table. And by the way, if you are hearing that my voice is breaking up, It's because I try to be as fast as possible, providing you with all the cool features. Because the last time I did this presentation, I ran out of time very quickly. I'm talkative, so I don't want to ruin your yet another session. So that's why I'm trying to speed myself up a little bit. That's perhaps also.
Jacek, you're doing fine. Just if we just work on this, you'll be good to go. So let's go through because we got you got lots of material, but if you go at a steady pace, I think we're fine, buddy.
Okay, got it. Thank you, then. So drop table done. Okay, and now I'm Scala dev. So let's just for fun, let's use some Python to create a Parquet table programmatically. So this is just a demo table, and it's gonna be Parquet table. And if you are in this Databricks environment, you have to specify your format explicitly for Parquet, which is unlike what you do in vanilla Spark. The reason is that by default in Databricks, the default file format is Delta, not Parquet. Okay, so I specified that the format is Parquet. I was explicit about it, and I've got my table. So this table, show tables like demo table. Yeah, I've got one, which is okay. And I'm gonna, select just basic stuff, nothing really out of ordinary. This is just a Parquet table. Okay, nice. Now I'm gonna describe this table with this extended version. So now you see that this is just Parquet table. Okay, fine. You can also see that there is this directory with all the tables, with all the data sets, and with all the files that were created as part of this creating Parquet table. Now we are ready to use this convert to Delta SQL command. Okay, and again, since I'm Scala dev by day, I'm adventurous, and I'm gonna use SQL commands as often as possible with some Python followed by Scala if I won't be able to, finish all I wanted with SQL or Python. So bear with me if there are any mistakes. They are definitely part of the show. So I'm gonna convert to Delta this newly created Parquet table, demo table. Done. Blah. Okay. And you see compute snapshot. There are some interim commands about what's going on under the hood. Eventually, you see this OK prompt. Okay. Let's describe this table again with this extended variant or option. And you see now that what was previously a Parquet table, now it's Delta. You see, the provider is Delta. So from now on, what previously was Parquet, now it's I didn't know it. Okay, so it's Spark 3.3. Okay, that's the very first time I see Spark 3.3 in action. Yeah, that's one of the many reasons why they released Databricks 11. Okay, so Parquet. Now you've got Delta. Nice. Okay, so we've got our brand new Delta table. Okay, so what was the change to this underlying directory / file structure? Okay, well, there is this directory called _delta_log. That's transaction log. That's the directory with all the underlying infrastructure that let your command, Delta specific command, work fine for you. Nice. All other files are intact. They haven't been changed at all. Okay. Then you can just query this Delta log directory because, well, it's just yet another directory. And you see that there is this CRC JSON files for this longish 0 version. Okay, so this is the version that, well, this is the way Delta Lake tracks versions of your delta tables. Okay, so every delta table has its own delta log directory with these long series of numbers files. And these files describe what happened to create this particular version from the previous versions. Okay, nice. So we see that there are just 5 rows, 5 files, fine. Now, you could also use another way to create, if you are into programming, another way to create a brand new delta table out of Parquet table. It's just delta table object with these utilities like convert to delta. So delta table is a programmatic API, or it's a utility with utility objects in Scala with commands like convert to delta. So depending on your needs, whether you are SQL developer or engineer or Python or Scala, you may use this convert to delta SQL command, or rely on delta table API. Among the methods is just this convert to delta. Nice. So yeah, you can just do this right away. Let's see what's going to happen if I do this demo table again. If I use it this demo table again, it's already delta table. So were there any new change to this table? Well, let's see describe extended demo table. It's still delta, which is very nice. And let's see all the versions. So, well, let's go here and let's see if there are any new files in this directory. Previously, there was only 00. Now we've got just 00, and that's it. Okay, nothing changed. So that's information that, or the takeaway from this presentation is that you can convert your delta table again and again, and this operation is just idempotent. So converting existing delta table changes nothing. Okay, nice. So we've got our delta table out of existing Parquet table. Now the question you may be asking yourself is there any way to create a delta table from scratch? And the answer is yes, there is. And this is just basically create table, specifying the file format you want to use. So you know already that there is this file format for Delta Lake, which is called Delta. So just by using this using clause, you can just do it fairly. So let's drop this table so we can start afresh. Let's see if there are any tables that meet this pattern. There are no tables. And let's create a table, delta table. And the reason I commented it out, I didn't use, I'm not going to use this using clause, is that is because Databricks environment considers delta file format as a default file format for your operations. So unless you specify your file format, delta is the default. It's unlike what you may have seen in vanilla Spark installations. Okay, so let me create this table just by using SQL again. And it returned no results. So let's have a look what we can get from this describe extended delta demo. And you see, it's just delta. Okay, so nothing out of ordinary. It's just same result, except that there are other data files beneath this directory, because previously we used existing Parquet table, while now we just use this values table creation format. Okay, nice. So yeah, describe. Okay, so another command that you might be interested in while working with Delta Lake is describe detail. So describe detail shows you extra information that is not available using pure Spark SQL commands. So Delta Lake offers you a brand new describe detail where you can just describe your Delta tables. So you know that there is this format Delta identifier, internal identifier. There's this name, description is null. Whenever I see nulls, it's like, why did they do this? Couldn't they just skip it? Anyway, I'm just drifting this conversation away from the main topic. So location and some other information. Now, you can use Spark SQL own way to access tables, and this is just spark.table. Whether you are if you are SQL dev, you might be using select star from a table name, while Scala / Java / Python devs are using spark.table. And something that I found really interesting is that this display function is only available in Databricks. So yeah, in your vanilla Spark installations, you'd use show, but show is not as interesting as display in this environment. So I stick to display. In case you are wondering how it's possible that I can execute display on this Spark table, which is just yet another data frame. Okay, so I listed the content of this Delta table called Delta demo with these 3 rows. Nice. Okay, so we touched base a bit on transaction log, which is basically directory called Delta log. So again, just showing you the content. It's just 3 rows for this table, and so hold on, I just got a little bit. Okay, yeah, three. Yeah, that's okay. While I was stopping my conversation or my presentation, is because I started to think where are the data files and where the data files are. But since we are looking at transaction log, they are not here. They are just here. So yeah, and these are the data files. So the difference between these directories is that this is transaction log, Delta Lake specific directory, while the directory that owns this Delta log is reserved for data files, Parquet files. Nice. So let's have a look at this 0 JSON file that describes how 0th version was created. Okay, what it took to create this version. So we know that there is a protocol. I think we need to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so there is this protocol, Delta Lake evolves and offers new features. So protocol specifies what readers and writers are able to read or write particular Delta table. So it's similar to what you may have noticed in Kafka, for example, when there is this protocol establishing process, if I may put it this way. And there are some other information. Again, this JSON file is just regular JSON supported, Spark SQL supported JSON file. And by saying Spark SQL JSON supported file, I mean that every line is just yet another JSON encoded line. Okay, so do not expect this JSON file to be proper a JSON, vanilla JSON file. It's just this specific format that Spark uses whenever you are working with JSON file format. Okay, so now up to this moment, you heard about 3 file formats that Delta Lake uses to offer you all the features that you can find in Delta Lake, which was Delta Lake own file format. And by the way, in version 1.2, they did create their own extension of Parquet format. This is just to provide a brand new feature called column renaming, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken because it's just a brand new feature that I started exploring. So they did.
Yes, that's correct. By the way.
Okay, thank you. So they did extend Parquet just to add this extra feature atop something that's already provided by Parquet file format. So we've got 2 file formats already covered, and the third one is JSON for all the transaction log specific information. Okay, so protocol is one action. They call it action, and there is metadata change or update. And since we started afresh, there was no metadata change. It just how this Delta Lake table was created with this metadata. So you see this ID and format provided as Parquet, some options, schema string, and all the information that Delta Lake needs to offer you all the commands, especially for schema evolution and enforcement. Then you will see from time to time, if not often, more often, series of add and remove actions. And whenever you see add, you should be thinking about a new file being added as part of this version, while remove, which is not the case for this version because we started fresh, would be to remove a particular file. There is some extra commit info that you may turn off if you don't like, and some other, that's basically what it is in this file. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we already covered how to create a brand new Delta Lake table from scratch or out of existing Parquet table. Now, once we have it, we can just play around with this newly created Delta table. So what you could expect from this environment called Delta Lake? Well, there is insert support, something that you probably face problems with while working with non-Delta Lake file formats, because by default inserts, well, you cannot insert into existing tables. You have to, do it by creating a brand new directory and some other tricks. Anyway, so in Delta Lake, just by doing modification to your data, you basically create a brand new version of this table. So if you stop for a moment and think about all changes that you could expect to be applied to your Delta table, just think about new version that's created and described in transaction log. That's basically it. So whenever you insert or delete or update or merge into a Delta table, you basically create brand new pair of transaction log owned files, CRC and JSON, that describe what it took to create a particular version by insert, delete, update, merge into, or any other command. Okay, so let's start with insert. So let's add new rows to this Delta table. So it's as simple as insert into, specifying your Delta table. So let me do this. And yep, you got this extra metrics, number of rows affected, inserted, and yeah, you can just use it for monitoring purposes. And looking at transaction log, you realize that you change the shape, the data of your existing delta table, which implies that you created brand new version, which implies in turn that you've got a new pair of these two files, CRC and JSON. And yeah, that's what happened. So we started with 00. Now you've got 0001, okay? And on. So every transaction, every command that changes how your data looks like inside a delta table will basically create another entry in this transaction log. And by saying entry, I mean another pair of these two files. Okay, so yeah, if you want to have a look at this at one of these files, well, you can just do this because it's a JSON file. It's human readable, and you see that there is this add commit, and there's not remove. I can see remove. Okay, anyway, so you can just have a look at this, just inspect it closely, and from time to time you may see add and removes, while for other versions you might see only adds or removes, depending on what you did, what you changed in your existing delta table. So let me read this table, okay? Just you know, what you would do in using just vanilla Spark SQL installation, just Spark table and table name. And given that we have this delta lake package installed in this environment, and given that this delta demo is a delta table, we get all the delta features for free, meaning we will always be reading the latest and greatest version of this delta table. So bam, okay? And you've got this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 5 rows. And because we inserted these extra 2 rows, we ended up with 5 rows. And all is cool and fine. So, okay, so let me do this insert override now. Okay, so you might be wondering, okay, we inserted 2 new rows. Is it possible to override existing rows? Well, yeah. So the answer is yes, it is supported by Delta Lake. And given that we are modifying underlying data files or data in this Delta table, you basically create yet another version, right? So if you list your directory again, let me copy this. So next time you are going to use this notebook. By the way, this notebook is on my GitHub. So after this talk, we are going together with Danny. We are going to share it with you where you can find this notebook, and you can just play around yourself and you know, develop your understanding better. So yeah, so let me run this command. Hop, and yeah, you see that now we've got 2 versions. Okay, so you've got 3 pairs of these CRC and JSON files. So just by looking at this directory, you can determine the latest version of your Delta table. Nice. So yeah, we can have a look at this transaction log, something that we did already. And yeah, so for this particular version, for version 2, given that we have overwritten 2 records, you can expect that some files that held these 2 rows had to be well, rewritten. So by looking at this 2 JSON encoded description of version 2 of this delta table, you quickly realize that two files were added, while 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 files were removed. Okay, and if you are asking yourself, or could ask me, why it took 2 adds and 5 deletes or removes, well, I may find answer, but I'm just hoping that you won't be asking these questions. Okay, don't want to show how little I know about Delta Lake. Not today, but just keep it in mind that it depends on how many files were used for a particular to create a particular version. It may be that you will see 5 removes, while next time you run similar commands on existing delta table, you may end up with 1 remove or just 10 or 100 removes. Okay, so again, just by looking at this JSON encoded file, you will know exactly what happened between versions. Okay, so yeah, so you might be wondering what happens with existing files, existing Parquet files. So the good news, well, we get to it, whether it's good news or bad news. So the good news is that all the previous files, even though they were marked as removed in this transaction log for version 2, they are still there. Okay, and when I say there, I mean in this data directory. So over time, you will see more and more files being created, and the reason for this is that you want to keep these files so you can restore. This is a brand new command in Delta Lake 1.2, or time travel back to your previous version. So to do this, to support time travel, Delta Lake keeps all the previous files intact until you vacuum them and physically removed from your storage. So yes, this is expected to see this Delta demo directory to grow over time. Yeah, not only will you see new files under this transaction log directory, they are pretty small, to be honest, but you will also find new Parquet files created for data that you may have considered part of existing Parquet files, and this is just to support time travel. Okay, so let me select just by using SQL. So now you see that we've got 2 rows in this Delta demo table. Previously we had 5 and 3 rows. Now it's just there are only 2 rows. Nice. So let's have a look at this history of this Delta demo. You see that we've got 3 versions. Why? We first created this table, then we inserted new rows. So we ended up with 5-row dataset table, Delta table, and eventually we overrode some rows and ended up with version 2. And this is just described by this operation, which does not necessarily correspond to the command that you executed, not the one that you as a user executed, but this is just internal representation of the commands that, well, right. So insert into is part of this write family of commands, and that's what appears here under this operation command column. Sorry. Nice. And there are also other operation parameters that you can use for monitoring what happened to create a particular version of your Delta table. Nice. Cluster ID, read version, isolation level, and is blind append. So lots of cool stuff is hidden here in this, describe history. And I'm yet to, master all this. So, hats off to all the people who can explain all the columns, without any doubts. I'm not yet there. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so let me show you this. I said that all the files, let me go up. I said that all the files, all the data files, Parquet encoded data files, are still available even for previous versions. So we ended up with 8 rows. Okay, so the obvious question, or the question you may be asking yourself is it possible to consider these files as part of one huge Parquet encoded table? And the answer is yes. Now, be careful. You can read all the Parquet files as if they constituted just one single Parquet table, but you know already that they are not part of one single delta table, so you cannot consider them part of one single Parquet table. So, but just knowing, how Delta Lake works under the covers can show you questions like this. Okay. Okay, so and just by doing this display, you will know that even though you try to read this as a Parquet table, well, Databricks will prevent doing so, and you should see exception telling you incompatible format detected, because there is transaction log, and that's probably something Delta related. So you should be rather use Delta file format rather than Parquet. You can just disable it, but don't do this. Okay, nice. Okay, so hold on. Oh. Okay, so let's move on, and let's discuss delete. Delete is basically as simple as insert. It's this good old delete command that you may have been using in the past while working with relational databases like Postgres or MySQL or whatever. Okay, so good old delete command. So let me run it. So delete from Delta demo, where ID equals 1. Number of affected rows is 1. So you know that we modified the underlying data, which means that you created brand new version. You don't believe me? Well, that's proper behavior. So let's have a look. So what I'm going to do is just list fsls and fsls hop, or even better, so you've got 2 and 3, or even better, just switch to SQL and describe. Okay, let me show you this. Describe history. I wanted to cover it later. Okay, that's okay. Yeah, show history, describe history. Okay, let me skip it for now, because I see that I'm gonna cover it later. So I'm gonna do this right now. So just by looking at this transaction log, you see that there is this third version or fourth version of your Delta table. Now, update, just like insert, delete commands is updating, or is about to update your underlying data files of your existing Delta table. So basically, you are creating a brand new version of your Delta table, and it's as simple as saying update whatever you want to update. So for Delta demo, for row with ID equals 2. You want to change this name to do, French variant of 2, or dwa in Polish. and yeah, select from, and you've got this do. Okay, nice. There is this merge into. So yeah, again, a new version. So you can just do this, and you should see fourth, or which is fourth. So a pair of these 4 base files for fifth, yeah, fifth version of this demo table. Nice. There is very advanced merge into command. To be honest, it took me some time to sink into it. It's very advanced in a sense that I haven't worked with a similar command in the past. So that was my first encounter when I started exploring Delta Lake. I noticed merge into is supported and touted as, you know, one of the coolest features of Delta Lake 08, if I'm not mistaken. It was introduced in 08. So, but I've got demos, so you should feel covered. And again, you will have access to this notebook. It's already open source, but after this presentation, I'm gonna update it with all the newly added cells. So you should have everything that I used during this presentation. So merge operation. So again, just like insert, update, or delete, you've got merge. And if you wanted to run it in vanilla Spark SQL installation, let's say you have 321, you would get information that merge into is not supported. And this support comes with Delta Lake. So only after you installed Delta Lake or some Delta Lake-like file format, you get support for merge into. Otherwise, you will run into, or you will face exception, merge into is not supported. So this demo shows Delta table merge operation with this merge into command, which sits behind the scenes of this Delta table merge operation. Nice. So you can, yeah, we already created this Delta table. So we know that we've got our table, our Delta table, and you can just query for how many versions of a Delta table or this Delta table we have. And for the sake of the demo, I just assume that this is a newly created table. It makes things a lot easier. Okay, so
sorry,
yeah,
sorry, Jacek, just to interrupt. Since we've got about I'd say about 10 minutes left, why don't we wrap up this section? And so that way we can leave a little bit of time for some of the questions as well, because we actually had some questions. I did answer them online. But I figured that would be still useful for everybody to listen to.
Nice. So. Okay, got it. So how many minutes? How much time do I have before we?
Yeah, I would say honestly, let's give it like 2 more minutes just to wrap up this section.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. Yep. And so again, you know, since I'm Scala dev, you know, for this demo, I've been using Scala, but you can just quickly convert it to a SQL-based demo. Let me know if you want to see it. Okay, so so what I'm going to do here, or what I'm doing here, is just creating this target Delta table API, or I'm using Delta table API to access Delta table programmatically. And this target is just description of my Delta table. There are 2 views of your existing Delta table, something that might not be obvious, you know, reading documentation, having very little experience with Delta Lake. One is the history, the changes that led you to a particular Delta Lake table. And the other view is a view on your data. So whatever, you might have this distinction in your mind while working with Delta tables, given that Delta Lake supports changing underlying data and leading to a new version of a delta table, just know that you might be wondering what led to a particular version, or you might be wondering what data is in a particular version. Nice. So yeah, so I created this target table, and okay, so let's dive into this merge with schema evolution right away. So this merge into is sophisticated to the point that you can just specify what you want to merge your existing delta table, and based on what condition. So all this leads you to, again, very sophisticated command, merge into, that allows you to do multiple updates, overrides, and changes, removals, just by using one single merge into command. So just know that, again, I'm using here Scala API for Delta Lake, but the same is also available using SQL. Okay, since we run out of time, and I don't feel we will have enough time for questions, I stop here and I start our next presentation with just this part with merge into, and quickly cover schema evolution and enforcement during our last module. Okay, so Danny, stage is yours.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So when we switch over, you can stop presenting the slides, by the way. I'm going to close up, by the way, by presenting a slide too.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the first question actually that was asked by Berthold is that, does the convert to Delta make a copy of the Parquet files, or is this an in-place update?
Very good question, as they say. And the answer is, there are no updates to existing files. So as I mentioned already, transaction log holds all the previous Parquet encoded files for previous versions, just so Delta Lake lets you time travel back to the version that you just changed. So no in-place overrides, no in-place modifications, just new file creation takes place.
Perfect. And then let's see. Oh, we will be sharing this notebook, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes.
It's already shared, by the way.
Yes. So we will share this notebook shortly. So we'll be updating the YouTube link to include this notebook as well. Okay. So that's as a quick call out. I'll answer the next question, which is there possible for AWS Athena or Redshift Spectrum to query a Delta table? And yes, in fact, check out delta.io/integrations. Which includes integrations for all of the other systems, which include Presto, Trino, Flink, and other systems, okay, that actually will work with Delta Lake, no problem. Now, the key call out for Athena and Redshift is that they are currently using the manifest file to query. There's actually being work done by the community to fix that, by the way, so that there's more native integration, but the manifest file has been there for a while, and it does allow Athena and Redshift to actually query Delta Lake directly. So hopefully that helps that question. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, this one I think you'll enjoy, Jacek. Like there's a great question. It's like seems to be a lot of logs being accumulated when you're running all that process. Like, so if you're performing thousands of data changes in the Delta table, is like there's probably a lot of stuff going in there. Is there a mechanism to clean up those logs?
Oh yeah, there is vacuum command that you can just mark files to be deleted eventually. So yes, it's not executed automatically. You have to use it regularly as part of your administration of your Delta Lake installation or Delta Lake tables. So yeah, there is vacuum, and I make a note to cover it during our last session. So vacuum. And that's basically it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, great question. So I'll take the next one, which is basically, oh, sorry, I just had it, and then of course I lost it. Okay, I apologize. I don't remember the actual, can't seem to find the text of the question, but basically you're wondering if you can actually do multi-cluster writes to for Delta tables. So in other words, you can have multiple Spark clusters or multiple whatever clusters writing to Delta at the exact same time. The answer is yes, but there's always a but, okay?
Yes.
The but is that it doesn't work for S3. For S3, it can be multiple writes by a single cluster or single driver or single JVM. But how you work around that is there is a feature as part of Delta Lake 1.2, which includes the S3 multi-cluster writes. So this allows multiple Spark clusters, or for that matter, multiple clusters, like for example, Flink clusters, to write to the that are not using the same JVM, that are not using the same driver, to write to the same Delta table at the exact same time. Now, this is specific to S3 because S3 lacks what they call put if absent consistency guarantees. These guarantees actually already exist within GCS and as well in Azure Data Lake, ADL's Gen 2. I can never say the full thing anymore. All right. So those guarantees are already there, but they're not included within S3. This is the reason why there's something special about S3 specifically. Okay. So definitely check out the blog. We actually wrote it on Delta.io, I think, last week or the week before, that specifically calls out. It was written by Marius from Summit TV, myself, and Scott Sander, where we explain exactly how that works. And so, all right, so we're actually coming up. So let me actually do one little quick presentation before before we call it a day, and thank, of course, Jacek for this awesome presentation. If you have any more questions about Delta Lake between now and the next session that we're doing, don't go to go.delta.io. The 3 dashes are for if you want to join our Slack. Just go.delta.io Slack, or go to our Google Groups where you can ask tons of questions, go to our LinkedIn, or go to YouTube. So by all means, please go ahead and chime us with questions there. The most common place is the Slack one. So just go.delta.io/Slack, okay? There's also Delta-users, by the way. So there's actually 2 Slacks. I just realized afterwards it'd be easier if we called it Slack from now on. So that's why I went with that, okay? And then a small little call out. If you want to learn more, including from our esteemed gentleman Jacek, who will be joining our AMAs and all these other things that we have a ton of sessions for at Data and AI Summit, go to go.delta.io/DAIS, Data and AI Summit 22, and use the code DAISCOM25, to get 25% off for the conference talks and for the training. So you'll see both Jacek and myself there, and we'll be able to answer questions live. So that's it for today's session. Again, I want to thank Jacek very much for all the great work that he's done. So again, we'll update the YouTube channel with both the notebooks, so you'll be able to download, and then we'll be seeing you in 2 weeks for Module 3, where Jacek will continue with this awesome tutorial.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, guys.
Well, that's it for today. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ciao. Bye.